Only truth will bring us happiness. Only utilizing this illusion as the classroom it is in our body to get us to the place that has eternal happiness, that is not duality, that is non-dualistic, and the place where we will truly have happiness. And that can only be found through listening to truth, through allowing yourself to be led instead of leading. You are bringing the illusion to truth instead of bringing truth to the illusion. Welcome back to one's journey of unwinding the mind and, of course, your daily microdose. Now tune in to the latest episode of One's Journey. Today, I want to talk about seeking control of our destiny and the ways in which we do that and how, in fact, that can impact the outcome and just alter our perception, because we talk so much about the things in the illusion, but in reality it has nothing to do what's in the illusion but our perception of it. I want to start with, okay, let's say you are stuck in traffic, but that morning you spilled your coffee, you were running late, and you're stuck in traffic. You are going to be angry, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be irritated, and it has nothing to do with the fact that you're stuck in traffic, but everything to do with your perception and how that morning started out. Now, if we reverse time and that morning was perfect, life is going wonderful, and then you're stuck in traffic, you're not going to view it that same way. That's an example of how our state of being, aka our perception, can impact the way in which we receive an event. But also, when we are frustrated because we are running late, that means we know the whole picture. That means we're insinuating that we know what's best, when in fact you don't. And what if in fact you are running late because if you would have been 2 minutes before, you would be in a significant car accident and would have lost your life? There's a really, really good book called The Gift of Maybe. And it's about this farmer who, I'll just give you the gist of it. I encourage you to go read it. It's really good. But it's essentially about a farmer who his son gets injured and can't help on the farm. And the neighbor comes over and was like, oh, that must really suck. I don't think those are the words, but whatever. And the farmer's like, maybe. And then all of a sudden, I might be messing up the story too, and then all of a sudden the draft comes to draft the children, and the neighbor's child gets drafted for the military, but the farmer's doesn't because of his leg is broken. And then the neighbor comes over and was like, wow, you really got out of that good. Like that worked out for you. And he's like, maybe. And this continues on and on and on. And it just changes the trajectory. And there's a lot of positive maybes or negative maybes, right? Where if you actually utilize the perception of duality where things are bad or good, then in fact they led into something later. So when we are attempting to predict our destiny, usually it's from the state of wanting things that feel positive in our life, things that feel good in our life. Manifesting, for example. Manifesting is very in the forefront right now. Many people are doing manifesting techniques to create the life of their dreams, which PS I think is so funny, that statement in its own. That's a whole nother conversation, but life of your dreams. People are manifesting things that they see as positive. Often things manifested are relationships, status, wealth, all things like that. The problem with that is first of all, we don't know what is best for us. We can't see the entire picture, but of course the Holy Spirit can, and that goes into us not deciding what our destiny is, but allowing what to come. But the problem is we live in an illusion of duality. So we've had a video before on duality, and duality is for all good, there's just as much bad. Let's say you are attempting to manifest $1 million or attempting to manifest a higher level of status. Well, when you are seeking that, you also need to know that you are seeking the equal amount of pain, because you are seeking pleasure in a dualistic illusion that can only continue to move on as long as there is duality. Meaning that if you experience this high level of pleasure, you need to then at some point in your life experience the deep level of pain because it's duality, it's dualistic. Well, the Holy Spirit knows the entire picture, has that bird's eye view. And in fact, when we allow the Holy Spirit or God or Jesus or whatever you want to believe to guide us instead of us trudging the way and bringing them along, if that makes sense, they can see all of the gifts of maybe that come out to the place at the end that is going to get us back home where there is no duality, where in heaven, and I personally do not have recent memories of actually being in the place of heaven, but I do believe I have felt it here on earth because heaven, I believe, is an awareness where there is no duality. It's just pure love. And to be honest with you, that's where I want to go. And I believe if you're in this community, you are seeking that eternal love as well and really getting curious on that journey. But the other piece with the Holy Spirit's guiding us instead of us pulling the Holy Spirit along is that the bigger picture is not about the individual in the illusion, because we are only individuals in the illusion. And I think that's one of the hardest pieces for people to move through on this journey. But the decisions are made on the basis of the entire sonship, on the basis of what is best for all, what is best for all to get home. And I know that's hard to wrap your head around, and still sometimes always my mind wants to jumble it back. But in the illusion, we appear to be separate. In the illusion, we experience that separateness in that journey, but in fact, we are one. So when the Holy Spirit is planning the destiny is returning home. So what is best for each individual on that journey to impact the whole so that we all get home. I have a very personal experience of attempting to control my destiny and attempting to manifest the life of my dreams, and just how significant duality can be. When I first started my business, I blew up really quickly, I would say. And when I started my business, it was all on the basis of purpose. It was on the basis of I had gone through a really awful divorce, fell apart, and tried to Google fix myself. And every time I Googled what I was doing, I would find that I was doing the wrong thing, which was not helpful. Because in fact, all I needed was acknowledgement in a safe space with no judgment, and all Google provided me was more and more judgment of you are doing exactly what you shouldn't be doing, instead of just acknowledgement and honoring and being seen for where I was at and hope that I would get out of it. When I came out the other side and was really doing well in my journey, I'm like, I never want another woman to not feel this way. So mind you, I still had a full-time career, and I saw this opportunity to help other women. So I created my business, and yeah, did I hope maybe this would be my full-time? Maybe eventually. But I started out fully on purpose, fully about impacting others and providing an opportunity for them to feel this level of self-love that I had obtained at that moment, which continues to get deeper and deeper, by the way, new levels all the time. Then I got involved in a business group. And don't get me wrong, it was exactly what was meant to be a part of my journey. But at that time, I had done a lot of ego shedding, a lot of shedding of the materialistic things in my life, considering I lost them all in my divorce, and really had to find happiness internally, which I had, but I don't feel like I was strong enough in that yet. So I got surrounded by individuals who very much were about the shiny objects, the flying first class, the buying jets, the buying the G-Wagon, which that is their journey. But for me, I do not believe that was meant to be my journey, but I turned it into my journey and I started doing what I call chasing the shiny objects. I started making a very large amount of money in my business, and if I would have saved it or invested it, the things wouldn't have happened the way they did. But I started living that life, flying first class, buying all the fancy things, spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on my personal development. And then business was going really well, and I was high as high could be. I went and climbed a volcano and went to the depths of my being that I'd never been before, and really had broken through some glass ceilings. And then boom. In a matter of, it felt like seconds, my life was on the polar opposite. And that is duality. I was at a place where I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I was going to purposely become homeless because I thought that was the punishment I needed for chasing the ego like I had and chasing the shiny objects. All of my amazing friends that I thought were lifelong friends because we met in personal development ran the other way. No one would talk to me. I was completely alone. When literally like the day before, I was filled with what I thought were rich and beautiful relationships, and my bank account was abundant and all of the things. And again, boom, it was gone. And looking back, my divorce was the same exact thing. All of the abundance, and then boom, reality struck, and I got to experience the other duality. And not always do we experience so polarizing duality so quickly like that. It's often a very slow moving train. But the fact of the matter is you will experience duality. And the fact of the matter is my business was doing well, life was doing well when I was chasing purpose, when I was in alignment with the Holy Spirit and allowing to be led instead of leading. So it took some months, and I had to do some deeper digging and get myself back on track with my purpose, with that internal voice of the Holy Spirit, and allowing myself to be guided again, to stop looking at the shiny objects and to be guided. And things are going very well. I'm back on the other side. But also, my perception has changed. I have really gotten to a place where I believe that I can find just as much happiness in being very wealthy as broke as F. And one example of that is when I met my boyfriend, Patrick. I was like $70,000, $80,000 in debt, didn't know I was going to pay my rent, all of these things. And it was a huge, heavy burden hanging on me. And one night I told him, because I was like, if we're going to get into this serious relationship, he needs to know I bring negative to the table, right? I bring negative to the table. And of course, he was very accepting and loving. But my mind, my monkey mind was like, he's not going to want to be with me. He's going to leave me, all of these things. And I was just, I was so happy. And fast forward a few months later, I had 3 clients that signed up at once, and it was going to wipe out my debt. I was going to get back on track. Great, right? And I really thought I was on purpose. And then they all 3 backed out. And immediately I went to this dark place. And Patrick's like, what the F, Ashley? You were happier when you were $80,000 in debt versus now where you have at least a couple clients, you're more upset losing those other 3 clients. What I'm trying to explain here is that it is about perception, and it is about us allowing to be led instead of leading. Because when we lead, we always want to lead to what we think will bring us happiness, when in fact, only truth will bring us happiness. Only utilizing this illusion as the classroom it is in our body to get us to the place that has eternal happiness, that is not duality, that is non-dualistic, and the place where we will truly have happiness. And that can only be found through listening to truth, through allowing yourself to be led instead of leading. Another piece as well in that is when you allow yourself to be led instead of leading, you are bringing the illusion to truth instead of bringing truth to the illusion. How that looks is you are constantly standing in that truth and the illusion is coming and going, but you are always maintaining that truth, knowing that it is an illusion and this is not where your happiness exists. Versus living in the illusion and bringing truth into the illusion. So trying to bring the light into the darkness and shine, aka manifest our happiness. That is us knowing truth, knowing the power that lies there, knowing what is possible, and trying to then just make a better dream out of it. That will not sustain because, again, go back to the beginning of this video, that is the duality. It is just physically, literally impossible. And even when you are being led, you will experience duality. But the difference is your perception is different because you are being led and you know the gift of maybe. You understand that, in fact, though this could be viewed as something negative, I don't know. I don't know the whole picture. But I do know I'm allowing myself to be led. Therefore, I know this is getting me closer to eternal happiness, to that place where I no longer experience birth and death, and it's an eternal bliss of love. Today's video, I know, was maybe all over the place. I hope you understand the gist of it about us seeking our destiny, us leading instead of being led, and what we're choosing when we do that. This video isn't telling you necessarily what to do, but telling you what the outcomes can be when you make whatever choice you make. So if you are going to choose to lead, manifest, get upset about things not going your way, trying to make things go perfectly, know that though you are consciously manifesting something that feels positive, you are just as much manifesting the duality of the negative. Because the reality is, when your focus is on the illusion, you will always experience duality. Even when your focus is on the Holy Spirit and being led, you will always experience duality, but your perception of it will be so much different, which allows you to move through it with still happiness and love and understanding, because you know where you're going. You know you're on the track to the end game. It's like climbing the volcano. I knew I had to keep going as much as it sucked because I knew, first of all, the Coast Guard wasn't coming to get me, but I knew I had to get to that beautiful picture at the top. So I pushed through, and I didn't experience anything as bad or good, but instead a means to the end. But really, a means back to the beginning because we've always been there. Okay, I'm done rambling. Share your thoughts. Most of all, remember you are worth it. We are in this together. You are not alone. And so much love, dear friend. Take care until next time.